The following program is brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization.
Hi, welcome to the Al Young Show about military affairs and interest to veterans and military people. Al isn't going to be here today, so he asked me to take over for him. Al, nor the other co-host, Denise. So what you see is what you have. I want to talk to the veterans and military people about the battle fatigue, the PTSD that's now currently in the news, really, with this Fort Hood, latest Fort Hood bombing. Bombing attack. Sorry about that. I suffer from PTSD. I call it battle fatigue. I also suffer from Agent Orange. This Saturday, I go to the VA in Tampa, Florida, to be evaluated for my PTSD. It only took them 48 years to get to it, to realize that maybe I need some help. But I want to talk about what happened at Fort Hood a little bit and the cause, but it's the cause of all of us who have been in combat, including what is going on right now in the two wars we have in Afghanistan and Iraq, and any war that may come up. Lord, pray we do not get involved in the Ukraine situation. But battle fatigue, or the PTSD, is something that a veteran of combat carries with him or her all through his or her life. It's just something that's bottled up inside, and it's hard to explain to anybody except another veteran who what it feels like, and they already know what it feels like. Now, in my case, as many of you know, I wrote a book called The Blue Spaders Vietnam. This is my autobiography of what I did over there. I wrote it 25 years after the events, but it is about 95% accurate to what I remember, what I did with my platoon. Not that I'm anybody or anything. I was just one E4. I finally made E5, that is a sergeant. I was just one little guy, a member of the Viet Cong Hunting Club that did his duty. We sailed over in 1965. With the 1st Infantry Division. I was with the 1st Battalion, 26th Infantry, the Blue Spaders. Now, we'll not keep referring to my book, not to promote my book, to promote your interest in writing your own stories down, to get some of the explosions, the hostility out of you, the feeling of the slaughter that you've been through, the dead bodies that you've seen, the events that you went through. Not that everybody can write a book. If you can write a book, I urge you to do so. Write a story, a short story if you can. Nobody can write a short story. But write it down for the people of today and the future people. Kids today do not know our history. You know this all the time, that they don't know the difference between World War II, Vietnam, and the current wars. They don't know the difference between the Civil War and World Wars, the World Wars, the 1 and 2. We recently did and St. Petersburg Museum, the soldier's story, and it's still an exhibit there in the St. Petersburg Piers. The St. Petersburg Museum houses pictures from World War II, Civil War, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and I believe they have some from the current wars. Remember, we had a first Gulf War. We mustn't forget those veterans, and they did a wonderful job in taking out the enemy in only 100 days. And Vietnam, 100 days, most of the guys that I was with did not live through. I sailed over with 240 men in my platoon from Fort Riley. But we didn't sail from Fort Riley. We took a plane to the West Coast and sailed out of Oakland, California. But it was on an old World War II troop ship, the USNS General Blatchford, I believe. Yeah, Blatchford. And believe me, it was an old tub. But because the 1st Infantry Division wanted to get everybody over quickly, they stuffed everybody on board. We were 800 soldiers over the capacity allowed for that ship, but they had to get us over there. Nevertheless, we went through the fighting. I helped to beat off infantry charges. I ran into ambushes, and some of the soldiers could tell you this. Some of the military soldiers, Marines, sailors that were in country, that we have anyway, we have a guest coming in. Not a guest, we have a co-host coming in. And she's going to be coming in a few moments, Denise. And I'm sure glad she's here because I have talked about this before. I want to let you know, I want to get back to PTSD, okay? Okay, we're going to go on a break here in a moment. And here we go with Al is coming in. Good, great to see you, Al. And Denise, wonderful to see her. Okay. All right.
Our nation strong. We honor family members who are left behind to carry on. May we never forget the prisoner of war, missing in action and killed in action. God bless our retired veterans, and God bless the USA. Today. Now bless a soldier today.
Hey, and we're back, and welcome to another edition. Sorry that we're late. We got stuck in traffic, and thank you, Carl, for taking over. And that's one thing about having people who work with you. They're here, and they can always take over. And welcome back, Sergeant WP.
It's good to be It's good to be back. I was up north, and I was beginning to feel a little homesick. They treated me very nice up there in New York, and, you know, they did all they could do, but it was good to be back home. It's good to be back home.
Actually, I'm sure you're glad to be back because of this wonderful weather that we have, and you
that
have to put it all that cold.
Yeah, well, it's actually getting nice up there now, but a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 Mondays ago, it actually started the day out snowing, and midday it was bright and sunny, people peeling their coats off, so I was a little confused. But anyway, it's good to be back. I miss my audience. I miss my family, my Tampa family. And, it's good to be back home.
Great.
So,
great.
Cole, what were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about PTSD because of the current situation that happened at Fort Hood. And like I say, I have PTSD. I call battle fatigue. Agent Orange also, I was diagnosed. So occasionally I'll cough. But it just seems like an ongoing problem with combat people. And that's what I was talking about. I encourage them, I encourage them to write. I mentioned my book, but not to promote my book, to promote them to write their stories down for their own families.
Yes.
But for a long time, it took the VA I think when we talk about the VA, it's normally through an act of Congress. It takes everyone a long time to start recognizing problems that a lot of veterans have. And PTSD, it took them a long time to finally come on board and say, hey, we recognize that people do have problems, that there was this thing, PTSD. Getting back to that, what I'm looking at and what's been another thing that is in the news, and it's been mentioned, and they kind of like skipped over it. What they're looking at also, or they're talking about it, is from now on, maybe having everyone on base or most of the people on base going around being armed. Well, I looked at that. Well, you know, it's just like it was something that was mentioned.
Yeah, I know.
But you know what? If you look at it, think about this. When we're overseas or we're in a hostile environment, everyone has a weapon.
Yes.
You know, but then when you come back, all of a sudden you're not capable of having a weapon, and it's the same soldiers, you know, and they're still doing the same jobs. And if you can give them a weapon in one particular environment, then I'm trying to think about why not be able to say, well, we can give them a weapon in another environment. I realize you're opening up a can of worms, but now when you've got people and all of a sudden you're losing lives because people are in situations where, okay, we're fairly secure when we go on a base. Now, anytime I go out to MacDill or any other base that I've ever been to, I always feel totally secure. Now, it's a thing that when you're on base, you're going to feel just like you are anywhere else. Could something actually happen? Am I secure like I always felt that, hey, nothing's going to happen to me when I'm on base. And I think everybody else felt the same way. So now it's not going to be that way because everybody's going to always be thinking,
Looking over their
yeah,
shoulder.
you know, could something happen?
Well, let me just interject. And it sounds good that, you know, they're thinking about having all the soldiers armed. But let's go back to the reason why you think they should be armed. PTSD didn't just happen with this soldier. He didn't just get up and was, you know, today I have PTSD. So a constant evaluation needs to be an ongoing thing with soldiers coming back to garrison from theater. Also, it's going to take family members also to give their input. I don't know if the soldier lived alone. I don't know.
No, he was a family man. But see, the thing there is still, you know what you're looking at now. I'm not to really want to cut you off, but even at that, he was being treated. But they were saying, well, let's just not look at one person.
But we certainly don't want to condone what he did.
No, but
no,
what I'm
by any
saying,
means.
no, listen. What I'm saying is, let's look at overall. You can't say, okay, I'm going to treat 10 people, and they all have PTSD, and let's say out of the 10 people, one guy you're going to zero in. Let's say if they not really showing any traits that any day now this guy's going to flip.
But another question, you know, where did the soldier get the firearm from?
Well, he bought it from a store. He bought his from the same store that the guy who...
But on any military base where there are firearms, it's so easy to get a firearm.
But he bought his from the same
And he
place
had
that
the
the
permit.
major bought his.
It's an unforeseen situation. It's a sad situation. This is the second time this event of this nature has happened on Fort Hood.
Yes.
And I truly am
Both-
saddened for the soldiers, the service members involved, as well as the family members, because this is affecting everybody.
Yeah, but Denise, the thing that I think everybody's thinking about is how do we prevent this from happening in the future? How do we make people feel secure again when they go on base?
I'll tell you what happened with me. I left my last combat patrol in Vietnam. 2 days later, I was out of the Army in Oakland, California, and the whole world suddenly just clicked off, changed, because my world was carrying an M16 and a lot of shooting. Now I'm loose in a world that hates me. Well, that was Vietnam. But my head was all so confused. It was like the bubblegum machine that goes around and around and around. And what do I do now?
Well, you know, I'm sure that when a lot of people come back from wherever they may have gone, there are a lot of changes that are going on. There are a lot of adjustments that have to be made. But, you know, we have to kind of start saying to ourselves, how do we keep everyone safe? I mean, everywhere you look these days, there's someone somewhere shooting someone or something going on that's abnormal, be it a theater, be it on base, be it anywhere, shopping mall. So, I mean, that's seems to be going on. But the thing is, as military individuals, when we go somewhere and we have the MPs and we have whoever it is, base security, you feel very secure when you step on that facility. And I think this is the thing that's very disturbing to a lot of us, is that we're so used to nothing happening.
Yes.
And now that things are happening, it's, well, listen, all of a sudden it's just so unusual. And how do we proceed? How do we get that tranquility back as far as when we go somewhere, now we're not looking over our shoulders constantly? Because now you put fear in people.
I don't think we'll ever get the tranquility back. That is, people who go on the military bases. Now, it's happened twice in the same location, but it could happen anywhere.
Well, yes.
Now everybody's going to be looking over their shoulder.
Yeah, so, but now the thing is, what do we do? How do we fix this? You know?
I don't know if there's an easy fix.
Well,
I
see,
mean,
that's why I'm saying, when someone's saying, well, listen, do we give everyone a weapon again? And then that way, if it happens, everybody can basically defend themselves? Or
Now, the first
do we-
one was a terrorist attack. Now, where did he get a major? Where did he get his weapon? Was it private?
He bought it from the same gun shop.
So
they both bought the weapons from the same gun shop.
Both of them were privately owned weapons.
Yes, they were privately owned weapons.
All right.
maybe they're going to start searching soldiers coming, service
Well,
members coming on
listen.
base. We don't know.
Well, listen, if you start searching every vehicle that comes on base, how many people do you think are going to get on base? I mean, how many
No, they'll get on base, but they won't get on base on time.
Well, listen.
You ever tried going on
but-
McDill doing a
Yeah,
busy
but then, listen, just think, if they search every vehicle, thoroughly search every vehicle, just a small search.
The core of it could be, because they could get on base, and if they're around firearms, military firearms, and they could go off the edge while they're holding a weapon, any weapon.
Well, it's
The
kind of a thing, but see, there is kind of like the countermeasure. If other people have weapons, then it's kind of like you don't do as much destruction, because it's like, I've got a weapon and so does the next guy. So the next guy may take me out if it comes down to that. It's, I'm going to bring up something, and, we hate to start getting into like graphic stuff, but there was a house, I believe it was in Pasco County, if I'm not mistaken, an intruder broke in.
Yes.
This was in the news.
Yes.
Intruder broke in.
Yeah,
And they fired a warning
members.
shot. Yes, they fired a warning shot.
Yes.
And the guy still kept breaking in. So once they fired the warning shot, the guy kept breaking in. Everybody in the house was armed.
Yes.
And then they shot the guy.
So
it's kind of, everybody had a weapon. So he wasn't going anywhere. If nobody had it, who knows what would have happened. But it's kind of like, if you got everybody and they've kind of, they're armed, it's more of a deterrent. And it's kind of, a lot of times, people may think about it.
But then
well,
we
if
get
I go on a
into a
shooting spree and everybody else has got a weapon, I'll think about what I'm
But then
doing regardless.
we go into a gun battle, and that's not what we want.
Well,
that's
no,
not what our military is about. So,
But it's kind of, people will think about, even with PTSD or anything else, I think a lot of times people, how many times do you see people run into a police department and say, okay, I'm going to shoot up the police department?
Right.
And you know why?
because they're very.
Because everybody else there has a gun too.
Well, that
So,
Columbine massacre in Colorado. I mean, he just went around killing everybody. They did. There was,
But see, you won't find them going into, or they won't go any place where everybody else has got a gun doing the same thing. Because you know what? They all have the same thing that I have. They'll go someplace where it's, hey, listen, I'm the only one with the gun. So I'm thinking, and if you think about it, if you do go on base and anybody's got a weapon, I don't think you're going to go on a shooting spree. Think about, there is always sort of like that reaction that, well, I don't think I'll go here and go ballistic, even though I may be thinking about it. I'll probably not do it there. Or I probably won't do it all. Maybe I'll think about it.
But the mentality of, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to say that, truly, my condolence goes out to the family members.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yes,
Of those service members, as well as, there's a lot of tragic involved because that soldier that did the shooter, his family member has a lot more to deal with now because of what he did, as well as the members that got shot. So, to my Fort Hood families, it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing on both parts, the civilian side of the house as well as the military side of the house. But the one thing that we can all come in agreement is PTSD is real.
Yes.
It is
It's
affecting
there.
a lot of our service members. A lot of service members are coming back from overseas with this disease, and it needs to constantly be addressed. We can't just put a Band-Aid on that wound and say it will heal. It will not. It's a constant treatment that we have to go through.
Well, you know what? It's not just attributed to people going out, taking out other people's lives. It's attributed also to a lot of the suicides that are happening also with a lot of service members.
Yes.
So we have a lot of stuff that's going on. Statistical wise, it's a high amount of people that are being affected by it. I mean, listen, the government's been working with a lot of things for a long time. You don't hear about it until these things happen. There's a lot of things that's been going on. They try not to make it public because, it becomes a bit alarming when
Yes.
you hear about all the things that are going on. Fortunately, you have all these task force now that are working to get things together where they can bring it to a head. But it's going to take a long time. And as people come back from all the different areas where they are being affected, it's going to, like I say, take some time. And as they get out of the military, there they are. That's what the VA and everybody else is there to help them with.
So, in closing, we just want to remind our viewers, be each other's eyes and ears. Look out for each other. The buddy system doesn't stop because we're back in the States. If you see your fellow soldier or service member behaving a little differently than normal, seek help. Advise him or her to seek help. Don't be afraid. Do not suppress that behavior. Do not cover it up. Let's try to help each other. Veterans don't leave other veterans by the wayside. We help them along the way. PTSD is real. It's a problem that has to be addressed continuously. They are addressing it, and it's not an easy fix.
That's for sure.
So let's help each other, take care of each other.
Listen, and on closing, just to change the subject, we had our award ceremony the other night, and Major Maxim came out, and he's been very helpful with a lot of things. And we'd like to just say to Major Maxim, thank you for everything that you've done, sir. It was a pleasure for you to be there and to help us with so much of the planning that went into the award ceremony. And again, our great thanks to you, and keep up the good work.
Until next week, bye-bye.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes was so gallantly streaming, and the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
This program was brought to you by the Internet Broadcasting Organization, setting the standard for new media broadcasting.